Finally, Mondo talks about Transformers 1. What's up, Transformers fans? My name's Mondo, and welcome back to another Moonbase 84 transmission. So the Transformers 1 trailer dropped Thursday, and I wanted to share my thoughts on it, but I decided to sit on my thoughts for a few days before I did so. And after rewatching it several times and talking about it with my friends, it's time to throw my 2 cents into the ring. So here's my thoughts on the Transformers 1 trailer. First off, the movie is clearly aimed at a younger audience with the kind of humor that you get with kid-friendly movies. While this seems to have upset and disappointed fans, to put it mildly, I'm not entirely opposed to having TF1 going in this direction. From a business standpoint, it makes sense for Hasbro to aim this movie towards kids. They need to bring in the next generation of fans to keep the brand alive, and which is also good for us current fans. Plus, having kids myself, I've come to enjoy these types of movies. The director said that the movie lives within its own continuity, and that is fine with me. Transformers has always been a brand that's constantly reinventing itself, so getting another new take on the franchise shouldn't be as big of a shock as it seems to be to some fans. I think the character designs and world look interesting, but I will say that the glimpse of Cybertron that we got to see in the trailer threw me off. A Cybertron with rocky caves and vegetation goes against my mind's eye when I think of Cybertron, but if it works for the story, then I'm okay with it. Also, the animation looks great and very fluid. As for the story, we knew that the movie is an origin story before the war and the divide between who would become Prime and Megatron. To me, having a more lighthearted take on Orion Pax and D16 makes sense. Here they are still friends and are not weighed down by thousands or millions of years of doom and gloom. I also like how the trailer gives us a bit of foreshadowing of Orion becoming Optimus, and I especially like the moment we get of D16 with the Decepticon symbol in the rubble. It makes me very interested in seeing how the movie handles his path to becoming Megatron. Elita 1 looks like a badass, and I wonder if we're going to get a bit of a love triangle between her, Pax, and 16. That plot point could be used to start the rift between the two besties, and oh gosh, I just used besties as a 40-something-year-old man. As for Bumblebee, I do like Bumblebee, but I am so sick of him to the point where I was actually happy they killed him off in the new comic. I just need a break from him being at the forefront for everything. I would have loved for them to use Ironhide, as he is usually portrayed as Optimus's oldest friend. I do get why Bee's included though. Kids love him, and as we've already said, this is more for them. I will say that my favorite Easter egg is Bee's battle mask being his gold bug head though. Having the Quintessons as the baddies for the movie is a good idea. Again, this is a kids movie, and having the main antagonist being an unjust and unfair caste system definitely wouldn't be very entertaining to them. Plus, the Quintessons have a history of either being the creators or enslavers of the Cybertronians, but we've never really gotten an in-depth look at that in the movies or cartoons, so I'm very interested to see them in the movie. So those are my thoughts on what we got in the trailer, and I'm glad I took my time figuring out what I thought about it. Honestly, my initial reaction was not a very positive one, mostly because the trailer is a peek at a movie that I was not hoping for or expecting. I was hoping for a grittier, more mature themed origin story, something that would sort of flesh out the flashback scenes of Prime and Megatron that we saw in Transformers Prime. The trailer, and by extension the movie, is definitely not that. So after watching the trailer for the first time, my excitement for the movie was totally deflated. I did think that it looked like a fun movie, but not a good Transformers movie. But I like to think that with age, I've managed to mature at least a tiny bit. So I decided not to immediately jump on social media and YouTube to proclaim Transformers 1 is garbage and the worst thing to ever happen in our lives. I'm glad that I took the time to rewatch the trailer a few times within the context the movie is going for. Within that context, the trailer is a glimpse into what is hopefully an entertaining Transformers origin story for all ages. And while possibly a bit too lighthearted at first, I hope the tone gets a little more serious when our heroes take on the Quintesson threat. They also better handle the falling out between Prime and Megatron seriously. That is a huge moment within Transformers, and even in a kid-friendly movie shouldn't be taken for a joke. All in all, I am much more excited for Transformers 1 now than I was after watching the trailer for the first time. While the movie is clearly not going to be what I was hoping for, it doesn't mean it will be a terrible movie. Just because it's a kids or family movie doesn't mean it can't be enjoyable. To put it in perspective, the '86 Transformers movie is a kids movie, and I never outgrew it. It is one of my top 2 favorite movies of all time, actually. Cars #1 and the Despicable Me movies are favorites of mine also, even though my kids have long outgrown them, although my oldest still loves them too. What I'm hoping for now is a good Transformers movie delivered to us within the context that the trailer has established. I'm excited to see how this version of Prime and Megatron have their falling out, or could the movie not really get into that and instead set up a sequel where we'll see it then? Will Hasbro and Paramount do something like Paramount did with TMNT and have a cartoon series spin out from the movie? With Earthspark seemingly dead in the water, that could be a possibility. Those are some interesting questions, but the one thing that is certain is that I'll be in the theater on opening day of Transformers 1, all because I took a moment or two to think things over. Now I hope the movie delivers on the promise I see in it. Now that you've heard my thoughts, let's keep the discussion going and let me know yours in the comments. And as always, thanks for docking.